What is up, gang? Thank you for checking out Sledgehammer TV tonight. The fallout from Payback was shown to us tonight on this episode of Smackdown, where we were going to finally see the new Universal Champion Roman Reigns. And it is clear to me, all I see is that the Roman initiative is in full effect. They are going full throttle, pedal to the metal with this push for Roman Reigns and his new heel persona with his new heel manager, and it is nauseating, it is unoriginal, and it is completely forced because they are trying too hard to make him seem like a badass now, and it really shouldn't be that hard. We'll talk about that, and we will talk about also the only other thing of note that happened on this show was the long-awaited, much-anticipated implosion of the golden role models between Sasha Banks and Bayley finally breaking down tonight, but it didn't go down quite like I expected it to, and in fact it was a little bit underwhelming, a little bit confusing, and a little bit too long. And we are going to talk about all of those things and so much more right here and right now. My name is Nick Nightmare, and you are watching the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show's Smackdown review and reaction show only on Sledgehammer TV. Let's do it.
The Sledgehammer Wrestling Show.
Oh, did you see Roman? Did you see the new heel Roman? Isn't it so great? Did you see what Paul Heyman said in his promo, man? Oh my God, it was so unique and so different, and he had a different delivery.
Shut up. Shut up right now, because you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know what you're even watching. And if that is the kind of attitude that you are feeling when you are watching this interpretation of the Roman Reigns character, then you yourself are a shill. You are a WWE pole smoker, and you just want to enjoy the show. And I commend you for that. It's absolutely great that you could turn off your friggin' brain and ingest this garbage and go,
oh, well, this is new. This is different. This is a better Roman Reigns than the...
Stop it. Stop it right now. The only difference between Paul Heyman introducing Brock Lesnar and introducing Roman Reigns is the fact that he called himself the special counsel to the tribal chief instead of calling himself an advocate. That's just an extra long way of calling himself the same thing and adding a little bit of island flair, you know, because he's a Samoan and all. There was nothing unique or different about this presentation. Roman's is standing in the middle of the ring looking like he's smelling Paul Heyman's bad B.O. with a friggin' fart smell face, just trying really hard to look like a tough badass. He doesn't have to try that hard. It shouldn't be this hard. It should be very easy. And you want to know more proof of how they are trying too hard? They had Paul Heyman, the man who has managed Brock Lesnar over the last, decade or more, stand here and tell you to your face that this was not his idea. That it was Roman's idea. Roman came for me, and Roman scared me. Roman intimidated me. What the fuck are you talking about? You are one of the most influential managerial minds of this generation, and you're not going to tell me that this story shouldn't have went like this? Well, while I was away, Brock Lesnar decides to leave. I started to talk to Roman Reigns. I got into the ear of Roman Reigns. I told him that he should be doing this. I told him he should be number one. I reminded him he never lost his Universal Championship and that he needs me. That would make sense. It would make Roman's decision-making all make sense because he's got this fat little blubber whale manager that everybody hates in his ear just talking away at him, which flipped the script in Roman's head and sent him on this other path. But instead you're telling me that Roman Reigns, the leukemia-beating, Make-A-Wish Roman Reigns was sitting at home and he was feeling sorry for himself. Oh, he was sad that The Fiend was given the title. He was sad that Braun Strowman had the title. You chose to stay home. You chose to stay home. Just like Sami Zayn, it's the same kind of scenario. Sami Zayn tonight's walking around still, I'm the Intercontinental Champion still, nobody beat me. You went home. 30 days, non-compete, you get stripped. That's how it goes. You're not still the champion. You didn't get injured. You didn't have some weird thing happen to you like Roman did. You chose to leave. So you're not still champion. Roman Reigns, the same thing applies. He got himself back into the Universal Championship picture just by being Roman Reigns. He won the Universal Championship back because he never lost it. And now he's got Paul Heyman telling people that he's just a bad guy now. And how are they going to emphasize this? How are they going to make it even worse and push it even more down your throat? We're going to have Jey Uso show up. Not both Usos, just one of the two-sos. And then he's going to do nothing. He's going to talk to Roman for a quick second. Roman's going to blow him off because, he's too big for his britches now. He ain't got time for his family. What? Are you people brain dead? Do you not know how the lineage and the family of the Samoan tradition in pro wrestling goes? They watch out for each other 110%. You cannot sell me on the fact that he is going to want to hurt his cousin. It's just not going to happen. Remember Rikishi? I did it for The Rock. Rikishi ran over Stone Cold Steve Austin, and he did it for The Rock. But these two guys who've got no reason to be beefing at all, Roman Reigns should have been more than happy to see his cousin. He should be getting the Usos on his side, forming some kind of a superior Samoan mafia stable with Paul Heyman there guiding everybody, and then you could have the Usos take over the tag team division. You have Roman on top of with the Universal Championship. You bring Naomi over, you turn her heel since everything's not working for her, and then you make her on top of it, and you have the whole Samoan family just killing everybody. Until somebody is built up to the point where they could be taken down. That's how this should go. You don't have Roman Reigns, first of all, blowing him off like he means nothing. And Jey Uso's like, hey, maybe after the show we'll grab some steaks, man. And Roman just keeps walking away. That's not how it really works. I understand the story they're trying to tell. They're trying to make Roman look like a badass. They're trying to make him look like he don't care. They're trying to hard. And then to make it even worse, in the main event of the evening, the Fatal 4-Way to crown the new number one contender for Roman Reigns, we got Matt Riddle, we got Sheamus, we got Big E, and we got Constable King Dickhead Baron Corbin. And before the match even gets started, the heavy favorite Big E gets eliminated by Sheamus. Because, Big E beat Sheamus already. He beat him Sunday at Payback. The logical next step would be to move Big E over to a new feud or a new something. He doesn't have to beat Roman Reigns just yet, but he should at least be in the match. Don't you think? But no, they take him out. They're giving all the heat to Sheamus. And now there's a vacant spot. And who gets the spot? Paul Heyman wants Adam Pearce, the newest MVP of the WWE, who's showing up on every friggin' show doing something of importance. He gets him to put Jey Uso in this match. And Jey Uso goes on to win this Fatal 4-Way. Not only does he win, he pins Matt Riddle. Jey Uso, who is an accomplished tag team wrestler, multiple-time tag team champion, but has been on the bench since way before WrestleMania. When was the last time we seen the Usos? You got him coming out the woodwork, beating Matt Riddle in a Fatal 4-Way, and why? They're doing it all just for Roman Reigns and just to make him seem like a badass. He's going to have to now face his cousin. Cousin versus cousin! Is that the hook? Am I supposed to give a shit? Two cousins fighting? Cousins fight all the time. Brothers fight. Sisters fight. Brothers and sisters fight. This is a normal thing. But there's no reason for these two to be fighting. What, is he mad that he wanted to go out for steaks? I don't understand the premise here. Why would Roman Reigns step all over his cousins? Did he not give him a phone call while he was out injured? Was he not celebrating the birth of Roman's new children with him? Is there some sort of a backstory we are unaware of why Roman Reigns is mad at Jey Uso? No, there's no fucking story there. They're just doing it so that he's gonna fight his cousin. He's going to bury his cousin because his cousin's not gonna lay down for him. I guarantee you, Paul Heyman's gonna be like, until we get to Clash of Champions, they're gonna try to get Jey Uso. Just lay down. Lay down for your cousin. You don't want this. He's gonna beat your ass anyway. But Jey Uso's gonna be the proud Samoan. He's gonna never lay down for nobody, and he's gonna get his ass whooped for it. And what good is gonna come for Jey Uso out of this? Absolutely nothing. It is completely forced, thrown upon you, because they can't even let that happen organically. Like I said, Paul Heyman should be the mastermind here. This should not all be some master plan by Roman Reigns. The guy who gets handed everything on a silver platter, what's he all pissed off about? It doesn't make sense. There was no reason why a guy like Matt Riddle or Big E should not have won that match. Do you guys not remember wrestling? Do you remember actual wrestling, like when there was the champion and there was a challenger, and in most cases, if the champion was a heel, the challenger would be the number one babyface in the company. He would try and try and try, but fail to beat the evil champion. Why? Not because he wasn't good enough, not because he wasn't strong enough, but because the bad guy cheats. Ric Flair and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat fought each other 1,000 times. They never had a bad match on TV that I've ever seen. But when Ric Flair beat Ricky Steamboat, he usually did so with the help of the Four Horsemen, or with some brass knuckles, or with the interference of somebody else, woman, or somebody on the outside, causing some sort of a distraction, a paid-off referee, something like this. That builds heat. It builds sympathy for the new babyface that you're trying to build, so that when he eventually beats the champion, it means something. You don't have to take random nobody people and just feed them to the champion. At this point, Roman Reigns fighting Jey Uso for the championship is no different than Roman Reigns fighting Santino Marella. How is that helping anybody? How did they forget wrestling? This 50-50, he's got to win one week, he's got to win the next week. This political bullshit that goes on in the WWE, it should all be for nothing. Because at the end of the day, there should be one person in charge that knows how to book wrestling. Even I used Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair, but let's go more recently. We can go back to NXT a couple of years ago when it actually was NXT and it was worth watching. Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano. How many times did they face off? How many times did Ciampa beat Johnny? Did it hurt Johnny's credibility? Did it hurt him as a performer? No. It made people just want him to win even more. It's called being an underdog. And when the opponent constantly cheats to win, that's how you get people over. I don't understand. It's so fucking simple, isn't it? When you listen to it coming out of my mouth, isn't it a simple equation? So let's say Matt Riddle would have won this match. He goes on to Clash of Champions, and he loses because of Paul Heyman. Paul Heyman pulls out the referee. Or some stupid shit like that. Now that calls for a rematch. He didn't have a fair shake. Don't do the rematches on SmackDown. Continue to build it until we get to Survivor Series, and then you could do it again. And Roman Reigns, just like you did with Brock Lesnar all those years, how many times Brock Lesnar beat Roman Reigns, but that didn't stop you from pushing him as the top guy. It just burns my head. It burns in my head. I don't understand how they have lost and how they are so far from how wrestling is supposed to be booked. I don't need random matches against people that don't deserve championship matches. Maybe I'd be a little bit more accepting of it if Jey Uso was actually around and wrestling over the last couple of months. But he's not. And Big E's getting the short end of the stick. And guys like Matt Riddle are getting the short end of the stick because the WWE don't want to blemish their fucking big dog. And it makes me sick. The best part of tonight's show still has its set of issues. Bayley and Sasha Banks had a rematch against the new Women's Tag Team Champions, Nia Snacks, Nia Haystacks, and her real champion partner, Shayna Baszler. It didn't go well. I mean, the match was actually very good. It was much better than their first encounter. Even Nia wasn't that bad, which is weird to even say. But Shayna Baszler's chemistry with both Sasha Banks and Bayley is off the charts. It's a fantastic group of girls there. And the finish was the only thing that really sucked here, where Nia Jax pinned both Bayley and Sasha Banks. Now this sets up a number of issues for what is about to come. Because, you see, I don't understand why Bayley snapped and attacked Sasha Banks tonight. I know that's where we want to go, but there was a different way to go about it. An easier way to do it. A more logical way to do it. Instead of Sasha just being down and out, busted her knee and now she's hurt, and Bayley's standing there and she looks like she gives a shit, and then we come back from commercial and Bayley just snaps. And there's no context to it. Of the two girls, Bayley is the one that should be happy. She's still the women's champion. There's no reason for her to be hating on Sasha Banks to this level that we've seen tonight. Bayley was the one giving digs. She was shooting little insults and little one-liners, little backhanded compliments and comments at Sasha Banks over the last couple of weeks, especially since they lost the women's tag team championships. You've seen on many occasions Sasha Banks giving Bayley the side eye, like, what did you just say? You ain't talking about me, right? So Bayley, in this instance, while she did what a heel would do, there was no inciting incident, so it kind of made it feel out of nowhere. Plus, it went on for way too long. The beatdown went on for way too long, and Sasha did a great job selling. It ended with the old Brian Pillman spot where we had Sasha Banks' head wrapped around a steel chair and Bayley came off the second rope and stomped the chair, hurting the throat of Sasha. Really dramatic stuff. My only complaint is that it just kind of came out of nowhere and it doesn't really make sense. What should have happened? Now, I don't tell you guys things don't make sense and complain about it without having something to show you how it should have been and how it could have went down. And this is what I see here. At the end of that match, when they both got pinned by Nia Haystacks, the girls should have had an argument. Right? I know Sasha's knee was hurt, whatever. She could have been on the floor and Bayley could have been getting in her face. Like, oh my God, we didn't win the championships back. This is all your fault. And then Sasha would talk back. No, this is your fault. You did this. Blah, blah, blah. Whatever they want to say to each other. But what should have happened is Sasha should have got up onto her feet, selling the bum leg, selling the injury, but get up to her feet and slap the shit out of Bayley Karen's mouth. Then Bayley attacks. And then it would make sense. Sasha finally getting a little something at Bayley because she's been talking shit about her for weeks. Even though it's been tongue-in-cheek, it's been there. Sasha Banks boils over. She didn't get her tag team championships back, and now Bayley's blaming her for it, while Bayley was one that was involved in the pin. And Bayley was also the one that tapped out to make them lose the championships in the first place. So that's where all of this should be coming from. Sasha should be fed up with Bayley and her nonsense. She should have smacked her makeup off her face, causing Bayley to become enraged and attack, and then go for that knee. And continue to assault the knees, slam it against the steel steps, do your little steel chair across the throat, and everything would be just fine. I enjoyed the segment. I thought it was intense. I just really felt like it came out of nowhere, and it didn't really make sense. And it went on just a little bit too long. Other than that, there was nothing on this show. There was nothing. We had a tag team matchup, the first matchup of the night, Heavy Machinery versus The Miz and Morrison. So, I don't care. Hey, ho, ho, we've got to go. Because I don't give a shit about The Miz and John Morrison. They are a glorified jobber tag team at this point. Both former champions. Miz a former world champion. Morrison a former world champion everywhere else he's gone, but he comes to the WWE and he's Mr. Johnny Joke Man. Absolutely ridiculous that we have to sit through these matches. The match itself Wasn't the worst tag team match I ever seen, but the fact that it ended, the whole reason for it to happen was kind of to make a fat joke on Otis. Really, that's what it was. It was a backhanded fat joke because John Morrison steals the Money in the Bank contract, and everybody, including myself, was like, oh shit, he's got the Money in the Bank contract. That's not how you win it. He can't use it, I think, but he stole the Money in the Bank contract. So now Otis has got to get it back. This matchup goes to Heavy Machinery. Morrison steals the briefcase. And then later in the evening, we see John Morrison with the briefcase. I'm sorry, we see Otis and Tucker first talking about losing the briefcase. And Otis doesn't seem bothered by it. And he tells Tucker, Tucker, doesn't matter because I keep the Money in the Bank in his little replica Money in the Bank mailbox. Not, lunchbox, rather. Mailbox. Imagine it was a giant Money in the Bank mailbox. What the fuck? Oh, my God. I bet Otis could carry it around on his back, though. He's a big, strong boy. Anyway, I digress. He had his lunchbox with him, and that is what has the contract. Which leads you to believe what's in the Money in the Bank. So we cut to Johnny Morrison, Johnny Joke Man, and Mr. Miserable, and they're doing their stupid shtick in the back. Even the Miz is like, that's you didn't win that, and that's not how it works. You can't use it. And he was like, oh, yes, I can. And he goes to open it and pulls out some trash, I think. I don't know. It looked like a fistful of straws or like hay or something. I don't know what the fuck it was at first. And then he pulls out a sandwich because, Otis is a fat guy. So naturally, he would have a sandwich in his Money in the Bank briefcase. And now I know it was substituting his lunchbox. I guess he made the briefcase his actual lunchbox and the lunchbox the briefcase. But the fact that I have to even say that sentence to you shows you just how far gone these people are gone creatively. This is just bottom of the barrel type shit. Who cares? Who cares about this juvenile bullshit? Why don't you spend time building a tag team division instead of making sandwich jokes? Lunchbox jokes. Ridiculousness. Absolute stupidity. Big E. Big E was actually on the show tonight. As we talked earlier about it very quickly, he was ready for this Fatal 4-Way match, but he got beat up by Sheamus, who dropped him with a white noise onto the back, on top of a vehicle, busting his back through the windshield. Looked vicious, but I don't understand why Mr. 1940s Sheamus is beating up Big E, having him eliminated from a Fatal 4-Way match. This should be done. This should be over with. Big E beat Sheamus clean at Payback. That means it's time to move on to the next guy he could beat clean, like Constable King Dickhead, or any of the other number of heels that you have on this show. But instead, we're taking back steps. And the same thing applies with Matt Riddle. You could have, that I said for Matt Riddle earlier for Big E, you could have had him in that Fatal 4-Way. You could have had him win that Fatal 4-Way and then go on to feud with Roman Reigns. He doesn't have to win. In fact, it's better if he doesn't, because the more Big E would lose and Roman cheats to win, the more it seems like an injustice, the more we as fans get behind Big E, and we want to see Big E eat the big dog alive. But no, instead we have to take a sidestep for Jey Uso because it's cousin versus cousin time. Absolutely ridiculous. Just really lazy and really, if you think about it, just protective. They're being protective of Roman Reigns. Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax defeated Bayley and Sasha Banks to retain the championships, but as we just mentioned, that was not what the story was about after the match. Bayley snapped, beat the snot out of Sasha, and it'll be interesting where they go from here. Is Sasha going to be out for a while? Are they going to keep her off TV till a major pay-per-view or until the fans come back? Like, what's the end game here? We don't know. We'll have to stay tuned, unfortunately, to find out. But Bayley got the better of the situation, and the WWE is definitely getting their money's worth out of that ugly ass Orlando ambulance bus that they purchased, because we're seeing it now on every single episode. Somebody, if not multiple people, are going to the hospital. We've seen The Fiend in that thing. We've seen Braun Strowman with that thing. We've seen now tonight, back again. This ambulance is on TV just as much as Adam Pearce, which means it must be pretty important, I guess. Anyway, Sami Zayn came down to the ring with the Intercontinental Championship, so naturally Jeff Hardy would follow. Sami Zayn, though, had an interesting and funny little bit tonight. He kind of broke the fourth wall, and he was mad at the announcer for not introducing him as the Intercontinental Champion. This sent him into a tizzy. He got the headset from the guy at ringside. He's talking to the people in the back. He's like, oh, why didn't you put the Intercontinental Champion on my graphic and whatever? And everybody's saying, well, it's not in my notes. It's not in my notes. The ring announcer said it. This guy on the headset said it. And it's not in their notes because you're not the Intercontinental Champion. Now, I appreciate this angle as well. We've seen it before. This is Shawn and Razor for the Intercontinental Championship back in '94. I get it. I've seen it before. And I'm into it. I think Sami Zayn versus Jeff Hardy with the two titles, probably ending in a ladder match to decide, would be a fantastic way to go about things. But they're muddying the waters with AJ Styles. AJ Styles, who lost to Jeff Hardy. He didn't lose clean, but he lost. He's walking around claiming he's still the Intercontinental Champion. Why don't I show up and be like, no, gentlemen, I'm the Intercontinental Champion. I watched those matches. I've watched everything you guys have been doing, so I feel like I deserve it too. AJ Styles doesn't need to be involved. However, if they want to throw him in and have a triple threat ladder match with the titles hanging, both titles, we could do that. I guess it'll be probably one of the better matches we see if they give it some time, and I'm not really all that mad about AJ's involvement. He seems kind of silly, doesn't it? Like, you know you lost, right? And Sammy, you know you walked away, bro. You can't just walk back in the doors 60 days later and be like, no, I'm still the champ. It doesn't work like that. I mean, you watched wrestling your whole life too, right? You guys were fans. You know what happens after 30 days when you can't defend the title. They've used that card 1,000,000 times. It just seemed a little bit silly. This ended up in a brawl. And then Michael Cole announced that Jey Uso was going to take Big E's place in the Fatal 4-Way matchup up next. Now, here's another thing that I can't stand that the WWE does. The way they format this show, they had the Fatal 4-Way begin. They had everybody come out, and then it all started up with a brawl. First, Matt Riddle made his way to the ring. Then Corbin came out. He was complaining about Jey Uso being put into this matchup. And then next thing you know, Sheamus is out there. Everybody's beating the hell out of everybody. And they go to commercial. And we come back from commercial. We should go right back into that match. But instead, because they don't even know how to format a show anymore, we go into the Firefly Funhouse, where Bray Wyatt's there for a good 10 seconds, no more, just to tell us, oh, the Fiend is sad that he lost his favorite toy, but we have a new member coming to the Funhouse. Bye! How predictable can you be? And then to make it even worse, they don't even have the sensibility to separate the segments. Immediately following the Firefly Funhouse segment, we see Alexa Bliss with her new dread Harley Quinn ponytails go up to Nikki Cross. And in the background, there's Ramblin' Rabbit just hanging out. He just popped up behind a box. Ramblin' Rabbit. Why not just tell us who the new member is? We all already kind of know anyway. But Alexa Bliss makes up with Nikki Cross. She gives her a big old hug. Stealing Bayley's gimmick, are we? I don't know. No. But no, yeah, that happened. And then, Cross seemed a little bit shaken or a little bit scared still of Alexa because she just walked off. She was kind of a little spacey. Something about that incident with the Fiend has flipped the switch in Alexa Bliss. But this is all happening on TV while there's a Fatal 4-Way supposedly going on in the ring. Now, don't you think these two segments should have came on before we started the Fatal 4-Way? It's pretty simple story structure type thing. You ended us in a brawl for the start of that match, and then you bring us back and take us out of the moment. It's bad enough you put us out of the moment with the commercials, but now you take us out of the moment, put us in a Firefly Funhouse segment, giving us an Alexa Bliss segment, and then, oh, by the way, yeah, this match is going on. They're terrible. They are terrible at this show. Jey Uso then goes on to defeat Matt Riddle, pinning Matt Riddle, which is something extremely wrong. Talk about a sin. And he's going to go on to face his cousin for the Universal Championship at the Clash of Champions. Two things that this show had going for it. There was no retribution, since they are now exclusively property of Monday Night Raw. And there was no Braun Strowman. No Big Showman. The Brown Snowman, maybe he's taking a break. If you wanted to feed somebody to Roman, why not just feed him to Roman? You've done it how many times before? Absolute garbage. This show continues to be garbage. Just a 2-hour-long poop hammer moment that I could have done without. Wasn't the best show. Was it better than the average SmackDown? I guess, if you want to be generous about it. But I'm a glass half empty kind of guy. I'm not looking at the glass half full. And the way that they are already showcasing Roman, it's already got us on a bad path. Let me know what you guys think. If you guys agree with what I'm feeling. If you are one of the many WWE shill pole smoking fans that have made it this far in the video and you still want to say some stupid shit to me, go ahead. Go ahead, because you're wrong. You're wrong. They are going about this all wrong. They are taking something that could have been a turning point in pro wrestling and just making it the most boring, predictable shit ever. Does anybody think Jey Uso's going to beat Roman Reigns? No. Will they make it interesting along the way? Probably not. It's as predictable as apple pie on Thanksgiving. And it's just so forced. So forced. Thank you guys so much for joining me here today. Drop your comments down in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought about tonight's episode of Suckdown. And of course, as always, to help the channel the best way you can, the two biggest things you could do is, one, be a subscriber. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure all of your notifications are on, so every single time we drop a video just like this one, you will know that it's there the minute it drops. And then most importantly, it really helps out the video a lot if you would just hit that thumbs up. It will gain us more traction, which will gain us more viewers, which will gain us more subscribers, which will gain us more notoriety, and we will one day be firmly shoulder to shoulder with the best podcasters in this business, because I'm already among them. They just don't know I'm out here. So it's your guys' job as well. Word of mouth is the most powerful tool. Tell all your friends, tell everybody you know to get on over here. It's more worth your time than sitting through the 2 hours of garbage. You just come to me, we bring the hammer down and tell you everything you need to know, because you have better things to do with your time. Just like I do. I have much better things to do with my time. I'm going to finish this review right now. We're going to upload it, and I'm going to go start shredding on the board, because we got Tony Hawk's Pro Skater Remake 1 and 2, and I've already almost finished the first part of the game, and I am just back in 1999, bro. I feel it in my fingers. My muscle memory has triggered, and I'm killing it right now on Tony Hawk. I feel like a 20-year-old man again, and it makes me happy. Unlike the WWE, 20 years ago, WWE made me happy as well. Now, though they give me good content, they give me good stuff to talk about, good ways for me to make you guys laugh, it's such a chore, and I hate it. I hate it so much, and I hope every time for the turnaround. One day it'll come. I don't know. I just hope I'm alive to see it. Thank you guys so much. My name is Nick Nightmare. This is the team Thor the Sledgehammer, the official Sledgehammer of the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show. His tag team partner, the World Heavyweight Champion of all the microphones in all the world, Mr. Blue, the Snowball. The most important member of the team, as always, each and every one of you. If you missed anything this week, from the hammering of Payback to the Monday Night Raw review and anything else on this channel, it'll be linked in the annotations up above. That, my friends, is going to do it. We are out of here. We will see you next time right here on your new favorite wrestling show, the Sledgehammer Wrestling Show, only on Sledgehammer TV, right here on YouTube.com. Boom.